pardon. So over here, the formula should be D over P, right? So you take your dividend divided by your price, and then you'll get that, which then would be your cost of preference shares. Then you go on and you do your cost of debt, right? Which is, you compute your N, which is 14, 7 times 2, PV, all these values have been given, and then you have to just calculate your payment, which is your 1,000 multiplied by the coupon rate divided by 2. Then you have the future value, which was given as you got your premium, so it's going to be 1,000 multiplied by 105, and then you'll get your face value or future value of 1050. Then you compute your interest rate, there you get it, and then obviously you need to account for the 27% of tax, and then you get your cost of debentures. Then you have your long-term debt. That's the long-term loan. So the current comparable rate is your prime plus 1.5. You add them together, and then you get your 12%, and then again you must account for tax, and then you get your answer here, right? And then fairly straightforward again to calculate your weightings, right? You take your market value over the complete market value of all the securities, right? And then you'll get your weightings. Then you're bringing it to your calculator. I mean your table where you start with your weight, where you take all these weightings that you calculated here and you put them underneath weight in accordance to the instrument, right? Then the costs that you have calculated across from here, here, and here, you put them under cost according to the instrument, and then you multiply each. So you multiply the ordinary shares' weight with the cost of the ordinary shares, and then you get your weighted average cost of capital. You do the same for preference shares. You multiply it together to get your average cost of capital, weighted average cost of capital. You add it together, and here's your final mark. You can see that when you use your formula, it's easier for us to award principal marks for each of your instruments based on the WACC that you had calculated. Okay, moving right along, we get to the theory, right? I'm not going to spend a lot of time within the theory. The theory is a suggestion solution, right? So you don't have to say the words exactly as they are, but according to the MMM proposition, the value of the firm is independent of its capital structure. In a perfect capital market, there are no taxes. So basically, it speaks on the M&M proposition, and it tells you how each element of the capital structure is affected within that graph, right? That is how you fully evaluate, right? And then here also you're speaking of the interest tax shield, that which increases savings, which then increases the value of the firm according to the M&M proposition, right? So a lot of this theory is theory that you will have to have known in order for you to speak on, right? So I would suggest that you please read over how the answer has been structured. But again, this is a suggested solution, so you may have not used the same wording as the memo, but if you speak to similar things, therefore you will be able to get the marks, right? Question 4, here are the bankruptcy costs. So you see, in order for you to explain, you need to have listed them, right? And then after listing them, you explain what it means, right? You explain what higher borrowing costs means, right? Means for the company, right? Loss of customers, what does that mean for the company? So you are able to explain only if you are able to list and essentially define what each of these bankruptcy costs are, right? And that is how you successfully answer these questions. So please let me know if there is anything else that you need understanding on. My consultation hours are up on the video for the introduction, so you can reach out to me and we can speak. Okay. Thank you. Have a great study session.